Hey guys, welcome back to our channel, All Things Home. I'm JC, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the transformation of just a corner in our basement into our son's play area. If you enjoy watching, don't forget to like this video below and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next video. Let's get this transformation started. Our upstairs was just getting a little chaotic and just a little bit too many toys, so we worked on purging some items and also just wanted to give him his own designated area where he could play and store all of his toys. I love to use baskets and different things like that to kind of hide toys upstairs in the living area so that way they're not shown and it just kind of blends in with the decor. However, sometimes you have those bigger items and those are a little bit harder to hide, so this just gives them the perfect spot to go to, and now they have their own home. So to start, I'm just clearing out the area. Some items will be back, but others are going back to their home. They've kind of lingered around here a little too long. And then I'm also just vacuuming and cleaning the area. Obviously, this is a basement, so I feel like things just get dustier and dirtier faster. And I just want to make sure everything's clean before putting in the new pieces. This space is cleared out and cleaned up. I will kind of draw up how I'm going to set this area up. So here's obviously our blank slate, and then these are pieces that I'll be adding in. So starting from the right, I'm going to paint those smaller walls a black chalkboard paint, just so obviously those can be drawn on. And then I'm also going to create a door for the little cubby underneath the stairs. Then for furniture pieces, he was gifted this cute little kitchen from IKEA. And then I just want to add some cubby storage and also add a taller storage shelf as well. And then you can see in the corner, I am going to build just a small little stage. He was gifted a microphone, and I thought that would just be the perfect spot to kind of add in and have that designated spot for the microphone. I'll be adding back in his basketball hoop and trampoline on that left wall after I paint them, and then I'll be adding in just a rug and a little table that he already has, along with just some foam climbing blocks that he has as well. This is the chalk paint I ended up going with. I've used Rust-Oleum products before and I have never had an issue. It was interesting to see that it was kind of a navy blue in the bucket, but you can see once it goes on the wall, it is in fact black. I just started rolling the paint on and kind of getting that first coat on. I definitely could have used a larger roller had I remembered to grab one when I was at the store. I thought I had already had one at home, but this little one was what I had in my storage box, so it was the one that I used. You can see that with the first coat, you can really see the streaks, so I definitely just went ahead and let it dry until it was ready for a second coat. In the meantime, I just went ahead and taped off the baseboards so I didn't have to worry about getting paint on those. If you have seen my nursery video, we did not tape the baseboards off, and that helped us in our decision of painting the baseboards or not. So I did not want to do that with this project, and so that meant taping off the baseboards. When I went back with my second coat, I did go ahead and pretty much cover everything again, but then I remembered to move the roller in more of a V shape instead of just up and down so that the lines of the roller weren't as apparent. Okay, I got everything cleaned up and cleared out and got the paint on the wall. So now I'm just gonna kind of work and build the little kitchen set and the cube storage just to kind of get everything set and see how much room I have, because depending on how everything kind of stretches out is how big, or will determine how big the little stage will be. So I think it's gonna be a little bit smaller than I originally anticipated. So just to be sure, I just kind of want to lay everything out before I build it to make sure that I don't make it bigger than I should and then everything doesn't fit. So I will start with building and then go from there. I started with the little IKEA kitchen. I feel like their instructions are pretty straightforward. My husband did go ahead and get everything out of the box for me, so I just wanted to make sure everything was there because it kind of sat for a little bit. So I just kind of organized everything, double checked everything, and then started building. I did most of this project on various nights once the kids went to sleep, so hammering was a little bit tricky and I was trying to be as quiet as possible, so using a blanket to kind of dampen the sound did help a little bit. There were a few screws that were a little bit harder to put in than others, so my drill may have been a little bit more helpful, but for the most part, it was pretty easy to put together. I ended up getting this cube storage from Target. I'll link all these items below. This one was, I believe, about $45, so super affordable, and it was very easy to put together as well. Now for the shelf. I almost bought one from Target, but I remembered my parents had this one sitting in their garage waiting to get rid of it, and I figured it would be perfect for what I was wanting. It has these doors at the bottom, which I thought was an added bonus to hide some different things. I was excited to add some cool hardware until I realized this was obviously not your normal hardware, so I figured I could at least spray them black to spruce it up a little bit. I totally could have repainted the entire shelf, but I didn't want to go there, so I just went ahead and vacuumed everything, dusted it, and then went ahead and wiped it all down as well. I just went ahead and used a matte black spray paint that I already had to cover these unique hardware pieces. Now that I had all the furniture built, it was time to build this door, which honestly I was procrastinating on because I can tell you I am not a professional. I do not do things perfectly. I love learning as I go and learning so that I can do it better next time. So I can tell you that this is the first door that I made and it does work out in the end. Is it perfect? No, but it works for this space. So anyway, I went ahead and measured the width of the opening, and then I did go ahead and double check the height because the wood piece I have is a 4x4 and the height of the opening is more than 4 foot. So I knew I was going to have to add some pieces on the top and bottom of the door, which I was totally fine with. I went ahead and measured to add 1x6s on the top and bottom. I didn't need them to be that tall, however, I liked the trim of that, and I was pretty much using all scrap pieces that I had already, except for the 4x4 large piece for the door. I know I could be doing this outside in my garage on a table, however, it is cold right now as I'm doing this project and I like to be warm, so I just went ahead and put a scrap wood piece underneath so I didn't have to worry about the nails going through. Now that I have the top and bottom trim pieces on, I'm just trying to figure out what to do with the rest of the door. I originally wanted to frame the entire thing, however, I didn't have enough 1x6 scrap wood to do that on both sides. I am all about using what I already have, so I was just trying to figure out a new design. I went ahead and just went with this diagonal piece and cut it with my miter saw, and I actually got these angled cuts right on the first try, which doesn't always happen, so I was pretty happy with that. Then I just went ahead and put a scrap piece behind the door again and used my nail gun to secure this wood piece. If you are good at noticing details, you will see that I flipped my door because I accidentally put the top and bottom pieces on the wrong side. I did not want the knots on the front because I wasn't sure if I was going to leave this raw or paint it, so I went ahead and just switched those before it was complete. Once the wood piece was secure, I flipped the door because some of the nails went a little bit too far. So I just went back with my hammer and hammered those back in a little bit so they wouldn't be scratching anyone. I originally was going to keep the trim around the door the same color as the door. However, I ended up having to use a thinner piece against the wall than the other two pieces because of just how the opening was and the scrap pieces that I had. So I wanted it to just blend in with the wall, so I ended up painting it black. And then this is how it all turned out once that was painted and the door was up. My husband did convince me to paint the door white, which I'm super happy with. I just went ahead and used a roller with some white paint that we already had. My husband picked up this little handle from Home Depot and it was perfect for the door. It probably would have been a little bit easier to attach before the door was hung, but that's okay, it still got done. So now you can see I have room for the door to open, the kitchen set, the cube storage, and the shelf. And now we can build the stage the perfect size. I kind of just estimated that front piece and then went ahead and cut this side piece just a little bit longer than the shelf. I didn't want it to stick out too far. Then once I had those angles together, I knew that I could measure this other side and make sure that those fit perfectly. Then I just went in with my nail gun to make sure everything was secure. I have to say my husband got me this nail gun for Christmas and this is the first project that I got to use it on. I was really wanting a battery-powered nail gun just so I didn't have to worry about bringing in a compressor for every project. So anyway, I was just measuring for the rest of the base of the stage so that I could get these pieces cut. Once I confirmed they both fit well, I went back with my nail gun and just secured everything together. So now I'm just measuring for additional pieces inside that will kind of act as braces within the frame. I probably didn't need this much support for this small of a stage, but I just went ahead and did it. I'd rather be safe than sorry and not have to worry about anything if the kids are jumping on it or something like that. Once I had those set, I went back with my nail gun to secure everything into place. And then once everything was sturdy and good, I went ahead and measured the sides so that I could cut the piece for the top. I should add that the bottom frame, all the pieces are 2x6s. And then this piece on top is the leftover 4x4 from the door. To measure for the cuts, I just went ahead and used a pencil to mark where the cut should be. Not a perfect scenario, but it did work pretty well for what I was needing. I lucked out because we ended up having a little bit of flooring left over from when we added it into our basement, and I only needed a few pieces anyway, and we still have a few left over if in case of an emergency. So I just used a few pieces and used this LVT cutter to cut them to the right length. I do wish that I would have just pushed this back into the space before I cut everything because there is just a small gap between this stage and the wall just because of the baseboard, so I could have left a little bit more of the flooring on, but you can't really tell. It's not a huge deal, just something that I would have changed. For the front pieces, I just went ahead and measured pieces to size and used my nail gun to secure them into place. Moving to the last corner of the space and the last two projects, I 100% wanted to keep these two in the space, but I just wanted them to kind of blend in a little bit better since they are bigger pieces in the space. I taped off the bottom of the basketball hoop since it was already black and then just went back with a matte black spray paint for the post. For the hoop and backboard, I got this Rust-Oleum Nutmeg in satin and just went ahead and sprayed these both. For the red hoop, I did have to go back a few times just to really get rid of the red color, but the backboard was pretty much done in a single coat. Now for this trampoline. I was thinking about putting a stencil over this little tyke sign, but I decided against it, and I was originally going to leave the blue, but I ended up getting some paint on the cover, so I just ended up going for it and spraying the whole thing. And I'm not mad about how it turned out. Moving back inside, these are obviously the cubes for the cube storage. I got these from Amazon, and again, I will place that link below. They were super affordable, and obviously these cubes are so simple to put together. Before I brought in the rest of the pieces, I went ahead and swept everything again just because there was added dust from all the projects going on. So once I did that, there was just one more thing to do before I brought the rest of the pieces in. And that was to season the chalkboard. I just got this chalk from Target, and I recently learned about this trick and did not want to skip it. We used to have a chalkboard calendar in our office, and it was always hard to fully erase everything. So this trick is supposed to help erase what is drawn on and not kind of leave that shadow of the image before. So I have my chalk placed horizontal on the chalkboard and just moving it up and down. And then once you cover the chalkboard all the way or just in a certain section, you go back with an eraser, which I didn't have, so I used a towel, and wipe it all off. So now all the projects are complete and it's time to place everything in their new homes. Everything turned out just how I envisioned it. Super simple, but everything is so much more organized. I'm really happy that I stuck with the black, white, and neutral tones just so that the toys could be the loud pieces in the space. Our son loves his new play area, and we love that his larger toys have a place to go. It's just really nice because even when he does bring some toys upstairs, they still have a home to go to back in the play area. So just one extra thing I wanted to share. After we did the reveal for my son and he played in the space a little bit, I decided I wanted to add a little sign to the wall. I wanted it to be super simple, and I saw some different signs just using nails and yarn, and I thought that was still unique but also very simple. In some examples I saw, they cut out the letters with cardboard and then pinned those to the wall. However, I didn't have large enough pieces of cardboard, so I just went ahead and taped some pieces of paper to the wall and decided to just draw the letters on there. I didn't measure everything, but I did go ahead and find the center and then kind of just mapped everything out very lightly from there. Then I just used a piece of chalk to darken everything up before the next step, which would be to add the nails. However, I have told you I don't like going to multiple stores, especially just for one thing, so I ended up finding these thicker pins at Hobby Lobby and just went ahead and got them. For the yarn, I have gotten less expensive yarn before, but I liked this one because it was a little stretchy, and I thought that would be good, that it would have a little give when wrapping around the pins. I was again doing this at night, so the best thing that worked for me was to just use the painter's tape roll and push the pins in that way so I didn't have to use a hammer. For the last step, I just carefully ripped the paper off the walls and wrapped the yarn around the pins. thought this was just a fun way to add a little bit more texture to the wall, and you can even add some different colors in as well. That wraps up this video on this simple play area transformation. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like this video below if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to our channel for more budget-friendly home decor and design tips and DIY projects. See you next time.